everybody, it's Jen with Moss Building and Design coming at you with our second HandyKid workshop. We are really excited today to be out at Will Billy's workshop with Will Sutherland. Hello,
hey,
Will.
How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Great.
Good. Notice I'd like to point out that we are actually, a measuring tape is actually an important component in today's workshop, but I also wanted to point out that this is what 6 feet looks like. So if you ever are concerned about your social distancing, remember that this is 6 feet. I'm going to let you take that back, actually.
All
Here
right.
we go. We don't need to hold the whole time. While we're waiting some more of our friends to join us today, I do want to say that we are on location here at Will Billy's workshop again in beautiful Shepherdstown, West Virginia. It's really exciting to be here. And if you didn't know this already, but I'll do briefly, Moss Building and Design is a residential remodeling company. We're located in Northern Virginia. We work only in Northern Virginia. We do kitchens, bathrooms, basins, and additions, and a full line of home services work. So we can come in and change your light bulbs or build you a 3-story addition. So we do everything. And we are deemed an essential business, and we are still in business. If you ever have any questions, please comment below throughout the entire workshop, and we'll be happy to answer them or get back in touch with you directly separately. Also, as a reminder, we do have a giveaway at the end of the show, and we are going to be doing a $25 Lowe's gift certificate. So we'll be drawing that name from the comments. So make sure and stay till the end and comment below. So I think another thing that is really exciting, besides being able to build this birdhouse, you can use these same materials and find all sorts of things online. You can make, we talked about bat houses, bug houses. So there's lots of ways to kind of implement at-home tools and such that you can still purchase at big box stores and make some fun items. So without further ado, I think we should go ahead. I think the important part of any of these workshops, as we've always talked about, is safety. So kids, never do anything that involves actually probably anything like the tile workshop we did a couple weeks ago. Make sure to do that with a parent. And we're always going to talk about what safety tools you should have on hand at all times, but then specifically for today's workshop. And also for anybody watching, you'll notice that I will be leaving the camera to maintain social distance with Will, but also because he will be using tools that are you need to be safe with, of course. So Will, if you want to talk about what maybe the safety and the materials that we need to build this workshop, which not to interrupt you because you'll notice I do that a lot, but anybody who registered will have been sent the instructions and materials list, so you should have everything already, but we will just go over what exactly is listed in here to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible. So
okay.
You want to take that on?
Thank
and
you
I'll
so
move
much.
over this way.
Yeah, all right, I'm stepping in. Okay. Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to host Moss Building Supply here at my little shop in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Today we're building a birdhouse, and I have in front of me a 6x1 board, and we're going to make our measurements based on this set of directions here, and then we're going to take it from there. Basically, we're going to make our own pieces to a 3D puzzle, and then we're going to assemble it. And then it'll be a tiny, tiny, tiny house for little birds. So if you like tiny houses, this is the ultimate tiny house. So
you can build your own for your family.
Yeah.
Also, but then one for your birds and your other animals.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
could actually follow these directions and just amplify the measurements by like 40, and you could technically live in something like this.
Well,
so yeah, you would need a few more boards.
A few more than that, yeah. Sure, of course.
So safety-wise, you definitely want to have on hand your safety glasses, because there will be some sawdust and some potentiality for things to float up into your eyes or just fly out of a saw. We also have headphones that'll protect your hearing, and I have a mask over here that I'll be putting on when I'm ready to actually start sanding and such. So
and gloves as well, right?
Yeah, I have a set of gloves also.
Yep. Okay.
Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this simple square, and this will help me draw straight lines, and I'm going to first measure where the square will be placed, and my measurements are all 5.5 inches for the walls of this little birdhouse. So I'll take my measuring tape and I will find 5 1/2, and I'll make a small mark. Then I'll come back with my square, place the thicker edge along the side of the board so it makes it straight, and I'm going to draw a line right where the dot that I made marking 5.5 inches is.
Here's a dumb question.
Yeah.
Why is it called a square when it looks like a triangle? Kids, I'm talking about shapes today. Learning about shapes here.
Well, if you were to look at the shape, it's a triangle.
Yeah, right.
But the purpose of this triangle is to make things in square.
Okay.
And by square, that means that it creates a
perfect
straight edge in association with the other edge. So
cool.
It helps you make a straight line.
Okay.
And
great.
when it's very important to have things squared up, because when you do start to assemble your birdhouse, you don't want one side of the wall to be, slightly lower than the other due to a square. You could eyeball it, but my experience with eyeballing things is not that great, especially as I've gotten older. My vision is not quite what it used to be. So I have my first line drawn, and that is at 5.5 inches, and I'm prepared to cut this mark here. I could continue to make more marks and cut more quickly, but it's better to cut one at a time. So for my purposes, I have a miter saw here in the background, but I also have a circular saw. I know not everybody has these tools available. You could also use a hand saw, but you'd have to use a saw guide to keep it perfectly in line. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over here to my miter saw.
So not to interrupt you again.
Sorry.
Oh, but you can rent miter saws, correct?
Yeah, you can rent a miter saw, and in this day and age, the odds are one of your neighbors probably has one, and they'd be thrilled to see it get used. But yeah, you can rent a miter saw. You could buy one. They're not too expensive. It's a good investment to have for future projects.
Sure.
Or you could try to use a circular saw like this. One of the best things about using a miter saw is you can guarantee that the cut is super straight, and when you have that straight cut, it ensures that when you go to assemble things, it's, you minimize the possibility of some,
cool.
curvy cuts, I should say. So I have a vacuum cleaner I'm going to turn on real quick here.
I'm going to step out of the scene here. So you can
Okay, we have our first wall to this tree birdhouse. I guess it is a tree house.
For birds.
It's going in the tree.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, square one of several. We'll take this piece here, and then we'll do another. This is where it gets really exciting, the repetitive cuts. But each one is important that you cut it very carefully. Of course.
And you use the vacuum, of course, just to mitigate the amount of dust in the air?
Yes, it definitely helps. I have a dedicated vacuum for the miter saw, actually. Because it does throw a lot of sawdust and chips. And that helps me keep this place clean.
Yeah.
So. All right. All right, so now we have two walls ready to go, and we're going to make the floor of the birdhouse. The floor is only 4 inches wide, so my measurement is going to be 4 inches this time. Go ahead and take my square, 4 inches. All right, and back over here to the saw. So here's the floor. So as you can see, it's starting to take shape. Now we're going to get to some more cuts that, we'll start with the roof for the next step here. The roof is 4 inches wide and 9 inches long. We're going to round up to 5 inches because it's 4 3/4 on this map. An extra 1/4 inch won't hurt to have an extra little overhang, which basically creates a drip edge for the rain. You don't want your rain to flow right down your wall of your birdhouse. You want it to land off the birdhouse. So
and the birds would appreciate that too.
Yeah, and over time, it would last a certain amount of time if the water did just flow down the side of the treehouse, but it wouldn't last as long. You want your birdhouses to shed water, and water getting into any structure is the biggest threat,
Sure.
I'd say. So. So there's one roof panel.
Oh, okay.
We're going to make the second roof panel.
Everything that we're using today, of course, is readily available at any of your big box stores. You know, there are, if you plan on doing something like this, you know, plan ahead. I know that there are some restrictions for entering stores these days. Just be patient, you know. I think that that's part of everything we do, right? Especially with woodworking, of course, of any kind. I find myself to be an impatient person, but
you measure twice and you cut once.
Yeah.
And that's a phrase that, you know, I'm sure you've heard it before. But if you measure once and you end up making the wrong cut, you say, I should have double checked it. And when you've, you know, messed up several times and your wood is you're running out of material, you have to go back to the store, and it ends up being a long process.
Yeah, exactly. So patience is key.
Yep.
With everything. So. All right.
All right, so now these roof panels will overlap on top like this. So remember how I said I was going to round up to 5 inches?
Yep.
This is where it looks a little different. It's going to be a little longer on the left side than the right. But it saves you a long cut down this edge here, which I know I can't really easily do with this saw. I would have to use a table saw. Not everybody has a table saw. If you wanted it to be exactly the same half-inch longer, or if you want it to be exactly on the same on both sides, then you could cut a half-inch off this. But it's really not a necessity in this build.
Well, I think the overhang is cute too, you know.
Yeah, well, you want the overhang. I'm just saying, like, one of the overhangs will be a little bit larger than slightly.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the front and rear of our treehouse.
Okay.
Bird treehouse. So to do this, I'm going to bring my board back over.
Okay.
Now this is a 6-foot board also, and this is more than enough material than we need. And it's nice that it's not a material heavy project.
Right.
So I'm going to use my square again, but instead of making a straight edge, I'm going to make a 45-degree angle. So to do that, first I'm going to measure the flat section of the wall, which on this list says it should be 3 inches. So that 3 inches, I'm actually going to cut that height there. It's, I'm sorry, the 3 inches is in how far in the bird hole is supposed to be.
Okay.
So the height of the front panel will be identical to the panels walls we've been cutting already, which is 5.5 inches.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a 5.5 inch mark along the side of the board here. So I have my small marks here and here.
Okay.
And before I was placing the square there to make a straight edge, but what I want to do is have a 45 degrees. So I'll bring this down.
Okay.
And I'm focusing on this edge.
Right.
And when this coincides with that, then I could draw that like that.
Awesome.
Now, obviously that's not a triangle, that's just a slant. So I need to turn this and do it similar on the other side.
All right.
And you'll see where they cross. It's right there. So this section right here is the wall.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make that cut, and I have to make an alteration to my miter saw real quick so it works at a 45-degree angle. Excuse me. So luckily I have this large miter saw, and it has the ability to turn to a full 45 degrees.
Nice.
So that's when I know that that cut will be correct. So that's ready to go. Put the vacuum on. So that's my first cut, and I have the second cut to make now.
Great. Good lessons in geometry today
Yes,
as well.
the math has helped over the years.
See, kids, math is useful. No matter what you might think, math is good.
All right, so we got a little triangle we use for something else in the future.
Sure.
But what we do have is our first wall.
Awesome.
Our first end wall. So you can really start to see it taking shape now.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're going to make a second end wall. Luckily, I already have a triangular piece that has started. So what I'm going to do is cut the opposite side to make that triangle. And to make sure I make that mark starting in the same place, I'll make a note on the opposite end of the board from this initial cut mark there. So all right. Obviously, this is too long. That would look pretty strange.
I think that'd be great.
It's kind of
It's
interesting.
for a tall bird.
It's very abstract.
It's for a tall bird. It is very abstract, very interesting.
It's for a big bird.
Yeah, it's a cubist. It's a cubist look.
My neighbor has some emus. Maybe they could hop in there.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
All right, so I need this to be the same height as this one. You could trace it like that.
Okay.
That's one way to do this. That's what we'll do today. I'm holding it up so you can see. I don't usually work in this angle. All right. So now we're ready to make that cut there and return my miter saw to its 0 degree setting. All right. So now we have the back wall.
Okay.
And we have the front wall.
And we're done. Just kidding.
It's got a nice sunroof.
It does have a nice sunroof.
So, and you can see how these will go like so.
Awesome.
To make a house. So now comes the fun part of fastening this all together, which can be accomplished in several ways. You could nail the pieces together.
Okay.
You could glue them together, or you could pre-drill and screw these together. I think today we have several options presented.
Okay.
One is to use wood glue. Now, when used properly, wood glue is actually stronger than the wood itself. But to get that strength, you have to make sure that the pieces are perfectly joined together. A nice flat edge. If you were to see a gap in any way, it compromises the strength of the wood. So you could also do wood glue and nails or screws to really make sure it sticks together. So today, I think what I'm going to show you all how to do is to use the wood glue, and then I'm going to secure it up with some finish nails also, which are the smaller nails that will be perfect for a project of this size.
Okay.
So step one would get all my pieces ready for their glue, and I need to remember which pieces attach to which. Put my puzzle back together.
That's right.
I have a very visual, my memory is all visual, so I have to really watch what I'm doing. So
I noticed there's two different lengths here. These are clamps, right?
Yeah, these clamps will hold the glue together.
Okay.
Usually wood glue, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for it to set to where you can start working with it.
All right.
So that's what we're going to be hoping for time-wise.
And then because since we're live, we can't demonstrate everything since we're kind of in motion here, but when should we have sanded? Is there sanding of the pieces that happens before or after? Or?
You can sand the pieces
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Right now, I'm gonna do a glue up,
Sure.
and then I'm gonna sand
Okay.
the initial square here.
Cool.
The sanding, to me, I feel like sometimes the sawdust it can affect the glue a little bit.
Okay.
But it's just up to the
Sure.
user. So I'm gonna take a fine line of glue there
Okay.
and here.
I don't have a steady hand. It would be more like like ketchup.
All right.
Okay.
So these pieces
Okay.
are attaching right there. They're already starting to.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's really great. So.
Oh, don't speak too
I
soon.
spoke too
Uh-oh.
soon.
Uh-oh. Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
Patience
Patience,
is
grasshopper.
a virtue.
Patience.
Okay, so
Okay.
it connects here.
So this is just wood glue. It says water resistant and interior exterior. So yeah. Purchase that at any store, of course.
All right. I haven't really pressed set together yet. I'm hoping to set it all. I'm hoping to clamp it all together.
So I won't jostle the table here.
No, it's a
Okay.
pretty big table, but yeah, try not to jostle
Okay,
it.
I'll try to move it fast.
Okay, so I have it shaped.
Awesome. Nice. And it's got a sunroof.
It has a sunroof.
I like it.
We'll worry about the actual roof
Right.
section later. So this clamp here, it's made by Bessie, but there's tons of different brands.
Okay, here I'm
You
gonna
can-
show off this one that's over here. I don't know how to use this thing. I'm just gonna hold it up and pretend like I'm Vanna White. Oh, it looks like this turns. That's exciting.
Yeah, you can. There's clamps of
No, I
tons-
get it, yeah.
many different sizes.
I'm literally gonna clamp my finger, so I'm gonna put it down there just before I hurt myself. I can make it. Okay, cool. So this just doesn't facilitate the drying. It just facilitates keeping things in the proper position.
Yeah, it holds
Okay.
it together.
Yeah, clamps. Got it. Okay.
Just long enough for the wood to dry.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
That looks like it's held together pretty well right there.
Yeah.
You can see there's some overflowing of the
Is that
of the glue. That's why I like to sand later,
okay?
because you can
Oh.
sand the glue down.
Okay,
also.
cool. I didn't know that.
It acts as wood when it's dry.
Yeah.
Okay, so while that's gluing together, I can, if I wanted to, screw these or hammer these together. But I'm going to wait a little while for it to dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to look ahead at what my next steps will be, which include making the actual door for the bird to enter into the birdhouse flue. So that's going to require a hole saw. So now a hole saw is exactly what it is. It makes a hole.
Okay.
A drill makes a very small hole,
Right.
but when you go larger than like ½ inch, it becomes a hole saw
Right,
bit
okay.
situation. So we're going to pick that hole saw out and
Okay.
get that tool ready to go here in the future. I'm going to watch this as it glues, make sure it's staying square.
I can keep an eye on it.
Yeah, make sure it doesn't, crumble apart, but it looks pretty solid.
Yeah, it looks
Right
pretty good.
now.
Looks pretty good.
So this is obviously way
Oh.
too big of a
Okay.
hole. This would be for like a raccoon.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we don't want that.
These two pieces, two hole saws are different
Oh,
size.
cool.
But in my directions here, it specifies a 1½ inch centered hole, and this is my 1½ inch centered hole. And what centers it is this drill bit. So the drill
Okay.
bit sets into the actual hole saw. This one doesn't have the drill bit installed, but if I was to switch this bit onto this hole saw, I would need to loosen this small set screw. So right now, it's luckily already set up for this size hole saw. So, and it fits into a drill. Not a impact drill, but a regular drill, which I'll show you guys here. So,
Okay. What else would you use a hole saw for?
well,
If you, besides this sort of fun project? I don't know.
hole saws are useful in some contracting situations where you're running PEX line, which is for water,
Okay.
or electrical wire through the studs when you're building a house.
Okay.
It makes a nice clean hole so you can pass through your utility connections, basically. For me, I've restored some school buses or made them into tiny houses. I've used these to drill in through the metal floor to allow elements to pass through, like plumbing and whatnot.
Because if you can't see, the edges are pretty
they're very
sharp.
It's basically a saw edge, and you would use this to just, if you need a large hole, you use this.
Yeah.
So
no, I've never seen that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, and you know, these, without this set bit here, it's impossible to use. It just wants to turn like a wheel.
Okay.
What this does is it buries the drill first, so it keeps it from moving outside of that circle. So this is the most important part of a hole saw, is the drill bit that holds it in place. We'll set that aside for now. So the Titebond Premium Wood Glue, Titebond is a brand. You're going to see the original, the premium, the super. For the most part, for this project, you don't need anything more than the standard Titebond. And it's, it says that you could, within 30 minutes, you can start working with the material. So we have about another 20 minutes.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, I have my one-on-one with my boss. That's okay. She can wait.
So we're gonna wait for this wood glue to correctly dry.
It's live TV, folks.
Live.
Live TV.
This is actually the first time I've ever been in a live setup. Hopefully,
embarrassed.
I'm not making a fool out of myself.
No, Will, you're fantastic. That's just, am I getting redder as the seconds go on?
I've actually never built a birdhouse. I hate to say it.
No, well,
I'm just following the directions. It's very,
it's great.
It's satisfying.
I even feel like I could do it, and I'm not much of a handy person. So.
I like to build things that are satisfying to watch come together, and I love building structures, from tree houses to horse barns to school bus conversions. This qualifies as a structure, so seeing it take form is pretty nice. It's definitely starting to.
Yeah, it looks like it's.
Wood glue's starting to come together. Once the glue has done its job, I'm going to set some screws in here.
Okay.
Which I guess I could start doing that now.
Sure.
As long as I don't interfere with the clamp setup. So I'm going to remove this.
Okay.
And find my correct bit for some screws here.
Don't forget, everybody, that this is our HandyKid workshop today, of course, and we're going to be planning more for the months ahead. And also, we have our Handy Pro workshops for parents. That's on Thursday at 5. Don't forget to come back then. Sign up for that. That's going to be really a fun and interesting one. So, I'm looking forward to that as well, with the help of Will here from Will Billy's. It's exciting.
Happy to help. Happy to help.
Thank you so much.
So, I'm going to pre-drill holes where my screws will go.
Okay.
And the screws I'm using are probably a little long for this, but it's all I have right now. And
I feel like the birds would be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just means that their house is going to be more sturdy.
Well, fantastic.
To be honest with you. So I got some 1 3/4 screws, and I'm going to size my bit roughly the diameter of the screw minus the threads of the screw.
Okay.
So that I know that it won't crack the wood very easily. So I'm going to screw into the ends where I want my pieces to go. All right, one hole there. Now, a word on drills, it's about a $100 investment, but that's for the battery drills. Not everybody needs a cordless drill, and it's no one talks about this,
right?
Because they want you to buy the expensive cordless drills.
Right.
But you can buy a corded drill for a little bit of nothing.
Okay.
You could go to a basic hardware store and pick up a nice corded drill for around $30, and then that leaves you a lot of extra money if you were budgeting for one that has cordless, to buy your necessary bits and your drill chucks, which basically are what hold your screwdriver pieces into attach it to the drill. Just saying, in case you are in need of a drill. Most people have one though, for hanging pictures and whatnot.
Sure. Do all drills pretty much these days come with the light at the end?
No, actually.
Really?
Not all of them do.
Because it seems it's so helpful.
It is very helpful.
Yeah.
I've actually used it sometimes at night if I need to go outside real quick and my drill is just sitting right there. Oh, I'll just use my drill.
Yeah.
I'll go
It
collect
scares
eggs.
off the animals too?
Yeah, like, I'll get you. Yeah, I'll go collect eggs at night and I'll be like, oh, here's my drill. And I'll just go out there and look for the chickens are obviously terrified when I come out there with the drill.
Aww.
But yeah, that's it's a nice feature.
Yeah.
All drills I think should have that. Sometimes I find myself drilling in like a dark corner of a room, and it does help to be able to see. To me, it's a safety benefit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now I should be wearing my my eye protection right now. I'm sorry,
That's
folks. Sometimes I feel like I have them on because I wear my glasses all the time. Okay, now I have my holes drilled for my walls, and I'm going to take the bit out, roll back my drill so it fits the screwdriver piece.
Okay.
Insert my bit there, and I'll turn this at an angle so hopefully it's more visible.
Yeah.
And this is just, your most basic construction process.
I have a tendency, I don't drill very often. We've done a couple handy workshops with where we demonstrate on a piece of drywall that's your wall at home. We've done the patching, teaching how to do patching, and I had to replace those. I was really proud of myself, the pieces of drywall. But my husband I was in the garage, and he said, "Please, it sounds like you're hurting the wood, the drywall," because I feel like I pushed too hard.
Oh, really?
So, and I know that's I feel like it's just something with practice, the comfort level. But are there any tips?
When you're
careful.
When you're drilling, if you're pushing against the drill, if you're making, let's use this little triangle as an example. Right now, it's in the wood.
Okay.
At this point, the screw will do its job of pulling into the wood.
Okay.
It'll just effortlessly pull through.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if you were pushing it through at the same time, that will compromise. It partially compromises the grip that it has within the grain of the wood.
All right.
So
again, patience. It's important just to take time and be careful.
It's important. The hardest part of probably drilling a screw is the first couple moments before it actually starts to dig into the board. Okay. So you can press then, but if you press too hard, it'll go, it'll fall off, and that's really frustrating. Especially if you're on a ladder up on the ceiling and you've held your arms up like this all day. That's when it gets stressful. Right. And anybody who's worked on roofs, ceilings, they know what I'm talking about. Right. The screw, once it's started its course into the board, and if you've pre-drilled it, it makes everything easier. It's definitely something that you should do. We learned about that in our last Handy Pro workshop about pre-drilling. Mm-hmm. Yep, it saves you effort and it helps ensure that the wood materials won't split. Okay. This is going to be one sturdy tree house, glue and screws. It's amazing what birds will live in. We have had birds make a home underneath our horse blanket that we have. So I was in the horse barn and I go to rearrange things and there's a bird nest inside a horse blanket that's folded up. I was like, well, I guess it's warm there. Yeah. That's a benefit. That's true. And birds will be in our brush pile. I hate to burn the brush pile because there's a bird nest in there. And we've had birds move into light fixtures on our porch. So there are birds who need homes. So this, if anything, this is an obligation to society to make these. Right. We found a nest inside, the back of our house. There's a little vent. Those little vents coming out of our kitchen, and we noticed lots of activity. And so there was a nest, and there were baby birds up there. Oh, they're so cute. I know, but unfortunately, we didn't know what to do. So we tried to save them and transfer them, and they were just too tiny. And I think the mother, once she noticed that we had found it, I think she got mad at us. Yeah, so it's I'm sorry to the birds. We tried desperately. We went out and bought it. We bought a birdhouse. We didn't know what to do. So they say that the best thing to do is just let nature do its thing. Yeah. Right now, there's an issue in West Virginia with everybody being home because of the quarantine. and they're finding, you know, baby deer, and they think the baby deer is hurt, but really baby deer can lay in a field by themselves for hours while the mother goes and finds food, and it's completely fine. Just let the deer be. It's, you know, it's not dying, it's not suffering. It's just alone for a little while.
Yeah. I'd like to be left alone for a while.
Yeah.
In a field, lying down by myself.
So I've screwed in the end caps of this. So I'm going to make sure the floor is screwed correctly also. I'm going to have to do some sanding on here because my pieces have moved just a little bit from but that's what, you know, they say with welding, a bad welder makes a great grinder because they're always kind of cleaning up. And, you know, sanding is kind of the same thing. You know, if you're building something and you find yourself in a rush or on live television and you're a little stressed out, then yeah, you can definitely sand your way into a clean, beautiful product. Last week I built a chicken coop. Oh. And
because you have.
I have my own chickens, and you know, friends have asked me, you know, and you know, if I'll build them one. Okay. And it's a huge chicken coop. He wanted it to be 4 feet by 10 feet.
Okay, that is pretty big.
And it turned out really nice. And I took it to his house and set it all up for him, and it's so rewarding to see. It's so rewarding to see a project like that come to fruition and know that, you know, there'll be happy chickens in there. Yeah. They got all the big windows. More windows than I have in my bedroom. We're in this chicken coop.
Happy chickens, happy eggs.
Yeah. Oh, the eggs. The difference in the eggs you'll buy at like Walmart as opposed to eggs that you can raise at home. Yeah. It's night and day. You're looking at the egg yolk is basically the color of this. It's
amazing.
This yellow, as opposed to like a pale yellow that's kind of sad.
Right.
And our chickens forage. We let them out of the chicken run in the evenings, and they go dig through the leaves, and they find bugs. And all these things help their diet, and it adds to the quality of the eggs and their happiness of life. I'll set this here for a second as a prop.
Okay.
So once these screws are all in, I can remove the clamps because the screws are doing that purpose themselves.
And then you're going to sand. Nice.
Yep. I missed
using
one.
Huh?
I missed this one a little bit.
That's okay.
All right. Sometimes you mess up. And what you do is you go back and you re-drill. My hole was pointed too far this direction and went through the bottom of the treehouse. I'm no expert.
Well, do you want to know what this would look like if I were doing it alone?
What'd you say?
If I did it by myself, do you know what this would look like? Some sort of like artistic.
It probably would look a little bit better than this.
No, like a random square with
an abstract birdhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. I would just call it art.
The good thing is, birds won't judge you. They'll just be happy. All right,
less judging.
I got it.
All right, cool.
Got it figured out.
Good.
Sorry, birds.
I don't think they'll judge you for that.
No. Okay.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's I wish I could shrink myself and move in.
This looks actually a lot like our HandyKid logo. If you actually it looks like a little toolbox right now, doesn't it?
You could carry
a little handle. You can almost use the same thing because it looks like our little logo. So you have all your tools, like your. Actually, you could be this would be great. I'm totally taking a tangent, but you could put this for your art supplies, paintbrushes, pencils.
Anything.
Yeah, actually, it's a cute little box just for anything like that. And I do, put a little handle on there and carry it around. Awesome.
Yeah, you could use this same format for just about anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and drill my birdhouse door now because I'll be able to clean out any dust that gets on the inside more easily.
Okay.
So once again, I'm going to swap my drill bit to this hole saw. Okay. And I'm going to decide which is the front that I like to most. Oh, that looks pretty nice there. I'm going to go with this side.
All right.
So I'm going to take the measuring tape my birdhouse is 5.5 inches wide. So if you were to take that in half, it'd be 2 3/4. So I'm going to make, that's my center, 2 3/4 there.
See, fractions.
Fractions matter. And I'm not going to measure the triangular section to center the hole. I'm just going to place this as like a leftover triangle.
Sure.
So I have 5 inches here, so I'm going to go 2.5.
Okay.
So I have my marks at 2 3/4 and 2.5, and I'm going to kind of align them.
Okay.
And that's going to be my center mark right here.
Perfect.
So then I will just
I'm fascinated by how
carefully
this
drill.
works.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, sometimes these bits really need to be in there tight. And I'm going to switch to my eye protection here. You really need to hold it tight when you're using this at first. Woo! There it went.
Oh.
All right. So graceful. Okay, y'all. So that is my bird door. Okay.
Looks good.
Whew. All right. Yeah, sometimes these can be a bear to use, especially if they're old and dull like mine. It's been used on a lot of projects, so. All right. Onto the roofing.
So you would wait to sand until every part has been put together at this point?
You know what? I shouldn't. No, I should sand now.
Okay.
Thank you. The sanding of the, you can access everything easier without the roof being installed.
So this is, tell us about this.
This is a random orbital sander. So what that means is it doesn't just spin, but also kind of gyrates, and it really throws, it sands everything down pretty evenly.
Okay.
So I'm going to go grab an extension cord real quickly.
Get out of the way.
Walking off camera 6 feet. All right.
Oh, wow. I'm going to keep going here then. Get out of the way here.
Super handy. It's a retractable cord. Makes cleanup a lot easier. So because this is a new piece of wood, I'm going to use a higher grit sandpaper. Lower grit, I mean. The lower the number, the more wood it removes. So this is a 120 grit. You could go down to even a 60 grit, but I think it would pull too much off of this wood. So.
Oh, wow.
Put some hearing protection on in addition to my, I'm going to wear a dust mask for this project, this part also. It's important to note that when you're putting a mask on, you can't just do one strap. It defeats the purpose. So you want to make sure you put it on with both straps and that it fits snugly around the bottom of your chin. Not that you need any lessons on wearing a mask right now. I'm sure everyone is well versed at this point. So, all right, I'm all PP'd up. Personal protection equipment. I do have gloves, but one of them is very dirty right now from staining yesterday, so I'm going to just be cautious with my hands. All right.
Okay,
I don't know if you noticed, but a small piece of the floor kind of fell out,
Oh,
and that's because it was part of a knot in the wood.
okay.
And that happens sometimes. Unfortunately, we can't always find the perfect board at our local lumber stores. Sometimes you really have to sort through the pile to find the best pieces.
Right.
Sometimes you get boards that are a little warped. Sometimes they have too many knots. They can fall out like that in that situation. But for this project, it's really not going to affect anything. It's in the lower corner here, and I'm not concerned about that.
So I literally thought we were going to use sandpaper and elbow grease to sand this.
Well, we live in a time period where we don't have as much elbow grease available. We shower pretty regularly. I think back in the day, there was plenty of elbow grease. People, oh, look at all that's been building up over the weeks, and they could slap it on there. But no, I don't know where that term comes from.
Okay, I don't know, neither that. But you
No
can,
clue.
I mean, you could physically take a sandpaper and do it by hand.
Oh yeah, I keep sandpaper on hand.
Just in case people don't have
situations.
access to one of
Absolutely.
these.
I
Okay.
actually find this to be, you do want to wear gloves for this.
Okay.
But when you're sanding with regular hand sandpaper,
Okay.
it really is satisfying because you can
Right.
control
Okay.
things a lot more easily.
Okay. Oh, good
And
to know.
I'll use it for
It's nice to have
edges.
options because not, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a power tool for everything.
Okay.
Power tools really came to existence in like as early as the 1920s.
Okay.
Before that, everything was hand
Sure.
tools. All right, so we have our birdhouse here,
Okay.
and it is just missing a roof and a small perch in the front. We can get to the
Great.
perch later, but our roof is going to affix like this.
Okay.
So we're going to glue this joint here
Okay.
first, and as you can see, when I remove that, it is at a 90-degree angle.
So you do that top part first rather than the sides?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry. You don't. You're going to glue the top and then the.
Yeah, I'm going to
Okay.
glue the top and then set it on.
Okay.
That way,
That does seem. Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that step. You
Okay.
could put it on here first or
Yeah.
here, but I could clamp more easily at this 90-degree here.
These are questions coming from someone who can barely put together a gingerbread house.
Oh, it's
kit.
okay.
So
can't put
I will
together
tell
a
you that
gingerbread
my
house.
gingerbread houses do not. I usually have to hold them up with bottles of some sort in the kitchen, and then they always fall
I
apart.
thought that's what everybody does with gingerbread houses. You have to like prop it up with something.
Right. The kids just really want to eat the candy, so
I understand
that's what it
that.
comes down to.
I understand that completely. Okay, so
So this, are we going to rely just on time for this portion, or are you going to clamp that?
I'm going to clamp this,
Okay.
and then I'm going to add some screws.
Ah, okay. Oh, I see. All right.
Okay, so it's clamped there and gluing. I'm going to take my square and make sure that it is sitting
Okay.
at square, which it is. Looks good.
Okay.
Tighten it just a smidge here. The square is an essential tool, and they're cheap.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to throw some screws in the roof also. Just a couple here.
Okay.
Removed. Okay. Make sure you guys can see more easily here. All right, so one screw. Okay, so now the screws are holding this together. I can remove this clamp.
Perfect.
And we have a roof that is being glued and screwed together. So it should.
That could be a hashtag.
Glued and screwed. You can guarantee that it's attached. Okay, so that's looking pretty nice.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Very nice. I'd live in that. Okay, so now I'm going to attach it to the actual tree house, but birdhouse, but I'm going to wait for the glue to finish drying here first. Sometimes you do get a little bit of runoff on these screws, and you can, I'm going to take this back of this piece of sandpaper to wipe it.
Okay.
And this glue is not too hard to clean up when it's wet.
Right.
But when it dries, it's more like wood actually.
Right.
It hardens pretty quick. So we've come to the last part of our directions of attaching the roof here.
Okay.
But before that, we need to add a little perch. While this is drying a little bit more, we'll
got it.
check out these little dowels, and that is enough for the bird to perch on. If they are waking up in the morning, stretching, they want to see what the weather's like, they'll sit outside on the little perch. And this nice dowel kit includes the correct drill bit size to match the dowel. And you would want to put that at the front below the entrance door. So I'm going to remove my Phillips head. And you don't want to go too low, but you also don't want to go too high to where it can interfere with the door entryway. So I'm going to split the difference between the opening and the bottom of the tree house, birdhouse. And I'm going to very slowly make my hole for the dowel.
Okay.
You don't want to go all the way through.
Okay.
The birdhouse. You just want to make sure that it is the, sometimes you can reverse the drill bit also to clean out the hole that you drilled.
So I'm sorry, you say you did not go all the way through?
No, I didn't go all the way through.
Because otherwise it would just slide all the way through. Oh gosh, I got stuck.
Yeah, I want it to be, I want there to be enough of the hole, the dowel here. So get some of the
in my mind, I would put dowels all the way around so all the birds can hang out and talk. You know,
we
take
could
turns.
Multiple dowels.
Really? Okay.
If there is an argument in the birdhouse, we could put a dowel over here.
Like a timeout space too.
A timeout space, yes.
I mean, you know.
I had one of those, you know, up until I was 18 years old.
I'd like to be told to go to timeout sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice just to
go to your room.
Get away from everybody.
Fine, I will.
I think everybody's been told to do that right now in the country. Go home, go to your rooms.
So we glue that in as well?
Yeah, you can just glue this in. And you won't need to screw this. This will just glue in. I'm going to put some around.
Okay.
Just a little bit of glue. Be amazed how far a little bit of this tight bond glue will go. So
how will the birdhouse then, do you buy a stand for it, or what should people, I mean, you're not going to put it on the ground, stick it in here.
No, ideally you'd set it in a tree.
Right.
Wedge it between
make
two
it
branches.
secure. Okay.
But what you could also do is put like a little eye hook on the top and hang the birdhouse.
All right.
You can find those for a little bit of nothing.
Okay.
And you would just screw that into the roof.
Got it.
Or you could also use a little shelf bracket and basically a metal shelf bracket and have it prop up under the treehouse or the birdhouse. I keep saying treehouse because I want to build a treehouse. It's on my bucket list of things to do.
Subliminal messaging.
Uh-huh.
I feel like a treehouse is in your future.
I'm having to upgrade my increase my bucket list because I'm getting so much done being home all the time.
Absolutely, right, yeah.
I can cross making a birdhouse off my bucket list. It's been on there for years.
That's great. I'm glad we could help you do that.
It's true.
That's good.
All right, so now that I have everything finished except the install of the roof, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to.
And you're doing like it's like a It's like halfway generous. I just want to like get an
Oh,
idea
for
of
the
how
amount of
much
glue?
amount of glue. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a ridiculous amount
Okay.
of glue for a project like
All
this,
right.
especially since I'm assisting the fastening with screws.
Right. Okay. And if it
Typically,
overlays, we can clean it up right away if there's too much.
Yeah, if you were making a cutting board or a table, you'd want to coat the entire connecting pieces.
Okay.
That way you can sand them down later.
Okay.
But
You need a,
yeah, glue runs pretty quickly. I'm fine. I got these
Oh.
jeans here. that
I know I have on jeans
designated.
myself. It's one of the few times in the past 6 weeks. But
So for the
just for you guys.
I'm going to put the roof
Okay.
forward on the treehouse so that it gives a little ledge
Right.
here. I know that's not specified in the directions that we have in front of us right now, but I think that would make sense for
Right.
the birds to
Yeah.
have a little bit of a porch. You could
Porch
say.
swing maybe
Uh-huh.
next. To
And
just
I'm
really
just gonna-
upgrade to a bird hotel
Yeah.
next, like a long.
You could build an addition onto this if you really wanted to.
Wow. Great.
Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple screws in,
Okay.
in the roof just to make sure that it holds down. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do that on the ends here.
Okay.
So I'm looking through to the second piece that's underneath of it and making sure that they're in line.
So again, to remind everybody, we're putting the screws in to keep it more secure, but you could just use the wood glue,
You
correct? Okay. And it would, you said it's strong once it dries.
It is very strong. You have to
Okay.
make sure that your joints are
That's
perfect.
perfectly lined up.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Any other? Yeah. Those
The
are
gl-
great
this,
tips.
This just makes things go faster for
Sure.
the live broadcast.
Of course. Okay.
Benefit. It definitely is not absolutely the only way to attach
Okay.
these. Honestly, screws probably a little overkill. Small nail would be good, but
Okay.
I dare not try to hammer a small nail on camera right now.
Okay.
It would be I have an air nailer that I would
Oh,
probably use.
right.
Boink, boink, boink,
Oh.
done.
That's more of a professional level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that at home, kids.
Yep.
Stick with the wood glue and things that keep us out of the emergency rooms these days.
Yeah, we don't need to be occupying
No, we don't need
hospital
that.
space right
Yeah.
now. Just be
Healthy.
careful.
Stay home and
Yep. Take our time. Be patient with things.
Yeah.
I appreciate anyone who's watching right now for sticking with us. And I look forward to seeing your birdhouse as well.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's a happy birdhouse.
Aw.
There's some glue yet to dry if I don't get it all on my hands first. But
So at this point, we would let the glue on the roof dry, and then you would sand that.
yeah, you
Okay.
would sand the roof down. I'm going to wipe some of the excess glue
Okay.
off now.
And then you can paint
You could paint
the
it.
birdhouse,
Any color
have some
you'd
fun
like.
with it.
Yep.
And again, you can find these patterns anywhere online. You can make birdhouses, bug houses, bee house. No, I'm not even bee house. Any kind of thing like that, just to be creative. And these materials are not really that expensive in the long run.
Not at all.
And some of the tools you either have, probably a drill at home, or it's good to have it on hand. Have them on hand and learn how to use things like this. The square is important to have. Measuring tape is always helpful.
Of course. So
So-
the essentials are, it doesn't hurt to pick up a small toolbox and fill
Right.
it with a tape measure, a small square, a small hammer,
Yep.
a few pieces of sandpaper.
Right.
You never know when you might actually, I can just, grab my little toolbox right now and
Yeah.
go to work, fix something and save myself a trip to the store.
Right.
So the treehouse is pretty much complete, minus some paint and some sanding of the roof. So we're going to wait for this to, the glue that I've used for the roof to dry all the way, and it's ready to be inhabited.
Fantastic. And also with any kind of birdhouse, online is also recipes for the type of bird feed and bird seed that you can use, and you can even do that at home as well. So you can figure out the concoctions for that, for any kind of birds, and then sit and watch, and then hope that the squirrels stay away, right? So
Yeah.
don't forget to comment, if you've been online with us, to be entered into our drawing. We'll be taking care of that at the end of the show, and we'll contact you all separately. But yeah, this has been a great experience. Thank you so much, Will, with Will Billies here in West Virginia.
You're welcome.
Again, if you have any questions for us or from us, feel free to PM us, message here below. We'll get in touch with you, and follow along, because we're going to be adding many more HandyKid workshops to our schedule, and we hope that you'll enjoy some time with us, with your families, and build something for nature. We've been spending a lot of time at our homes. This is something else to add to your home, to its exterior, to make birds happy. So thank you, and have a great day.